Shalom, friends. It's Rabbi Jenny Solomon at Beth Meyer Synagogue here with a Mincha moment. So, like many of you, I'm sure, we are riveted by the news of the war that is taking place in Ukraine. For so many of us, we feel sort of an added connection because of our own ancestral roots, our own families' stories of how we came to this country. But I think just as a human being, how could we not feel heartbroken and somewhat helpless at what's taking place? The way in which innocent people, civilians, are being targeted, forced to leave their homes, and in harm's way at all moments. So what does our mindfulness practice and what does our Jewish spiritual practice have to say about living so far away from what's happening and yet feeling so close? Well, many things, I'm sure. But one thing that I'm thinking a lot about, I've been bringing into my practice, and I hope that this is helpful and supportive to you, is just this ability to stay with our experience, to stay with our feelings, and to remain connected when the urge to disconnect is so great. So one of the things that we practice in mindfulness meditation, but I think also in all the aspects of Jewish spirituality, is being present, being aware, being connected. And right now, I find that it's just overwhelming to think about. On the one hand, I'm sort of going about my life and my day with all of its demands and joys and mundane things, knowing that there are mothers who are trying to keep their children safe. And it's hard to sort of feel in solidarity and alignment with the fact that there are folks who are living such a different reality than I am right now. I was having my coffee on Sunday morning and listening to NPR in my earbuds, and I was just moved to tears by a story that I was hearing from a journalist, and there was an urge inside of me to shut down my tears, to disconnect. And then my sort of mindfulness practice kicked in and said, no, these are important tears. And even though this is a problem that I certainly cannot solve and may be politically intractable in many ways, and my ability to even alleviate some of the suffering is quite small, I refuse to disconnect. I refuse to sort of give in to the resistance that is that sense of being overwhelmed, cynical, paralyzed, cut off. And I believe that my ability to stay connected to the heartbreak and to the resilience and to the grit and to the spirit of others who are finding themselves in that situation, and my ability to stay with that, even just energetically, even just in my own soul, my own psyche, gives way to the building of my capacity for compassion and connectivity in my everyday life. That is, mindfulness practice, spiritual practice, is a way for us to practice being in connection with what's happening, with each other, with compassion. And so as I spend time ruminating and following the news about what's happening in Ukraine, among other places in the world, I think one of the challenges is, can we stay connected to those feelings, not be overwhelmed by them? But can we stay connected in such a way that we build our capacity to stay connected to ourselves, who are also in need of compassion, to our loved ones, to strangers that we encounter on the street, to sense that it's really all connected. That's my hope and prayer for me and for all of us, so that we continue to stay in connection with what's happening, and that we do that in ways which are not a danger, of course, to ourselves, right? There can be too much. So we have to do this in a way that is that we can tolerate, and that is ultimately of greater service. But I think the message of our spiritual tradition is don't disconnect. That even when we can't fix and solve, that it means something to care. It means something to feel, and that's a holy response. All right, peace be with you. Peace be with all living creatures. Shalom.